Some people think of writers as wordsmithing wizards that can come up with the perfect word every time, or who can sit down in 1 hour and crank out a blog, or that writing just happens. Well, they aren't, they can't, and it doesn't. Now, any type of profession, any type of artistic endeavor requires a lot of work. What you see on the end side of things had quite a bit of work ahead of it. Thomas Mann, who was a German novelist and winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature, once defined a writer as someone to whom writing is more difficult than everyone else. If that's true, how do bloggers come up with quality material and come up with blogs time and time again? Well, I think one reason is that they have a system. They have an infrastructure from which they can pour in their idea through this creative machine, and out comes this finished product. Now, we've looked at this video series on how to slay the lion-sized obstacles that face most bloggers, and we've seen from the who standpoint. Who is a credible and an authoritative blogger? We also looked at the quality aspect, and what is quality material, or where do good ideas come from? But now we're going to look at the how. How do we take that content and get it to its final creative process? Now, as a beginning, I think we need to change our thinking as to what is writing. It's not a one swing of the bat option where we have to hit a home run. That's too intimidating. Think of it more as getting on first base, stealing second, getting moved over to third, and then coming in on home. If we see it as a systematic process, it becomes more palatable. We break it down into pieces. It's more enjoyable, and it's something that we can look at with much vigor and more excitement. Now let's look at the process. It's a 6-step process, the first 3 of which are more in the initial creation stage, and the final 3 are more of refinement. Well, the first stage is brainstorming, and as the name infers, it's this virtual storm that occurs in your brain where you're putting down every type of idea that you can. If you're writing on presentation skills, you're going to write on what types of presentation skills, who has good presentation skills. You're trying to put as many things on the page as you can, because this is the raw material from which you're going to draw. Remember when you were in class and one of your teachers said there are no bad ideas or no bad questions? Well, that applies here. The only rule that we have really is that you don't edit yourself, because what you're trying to do is just get raw material. A painter can be a lot more expressive when he has a lot more colors to choose from. So that's brainstorming. Now, the second stage is outlining or organizing. Now, what I told you in the first process, this is almost the opposite. Instead of going from a small idea and expanding, you're taking that expanded idea and you're drawing the common links. You're seeing what parts seem to be toward the front, what seem to be ideas that are more into the body, and what are more of areas that are more of conclusionary. It's almost like a puzzle. You're trying to take the pieces that work and put them into a form. And that's really what outlining is all about. If you have nothing more than a beginning, a middle, and an end, the middle being 2 or 3 points, then you're on your way. Think of it as if I'm going to go to LA. I could just get in my car and drive there, or I could map it out and find the best way that I can get there. So you've got brainstorming, you've got outlining. And the third step is probably one of the most dreaded steps, and that is the actual first draft. Ernest Hemingway said the first draft of anything is you get the point. And Terence Pritchard said that the first draft is the writer telling the story to himself. The next subsequent drafts are the writer telling it to other people. So you're really trying to get in your mind what you're trying to say. The key here is to just get enough material, and a lot of times it's probably half again to twice as long as what would be the finished product, but you're trying to get the material from which you can later edit. So we've got brainstorming, we've got outlining, and we've got the first draft. Next time what we're going to look at is how does we take those steps and how do we refine it into a finished product.